Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining our presentation about the Belt and Road Initiative. We will first be discussing the background history of the Belt and Road Initiative, in which it is a planned proposal to open a new and improved Silk Road. This is spearheaded by a project called One Belt, One Road, or OBOR. It is commonly known as the Belt and Road Initiative, or BRI, and it has included a total of 3 continents and 72 countries in East, South, Southeast, and Central Asia, as well as the Middle East and North Africa and Europe. And this picture shows just how vast the initiative is.
What is realism and liberalism in FPA perspective? Realism relies in three core assumptions. Groupism means that humans need group to survive. Egoism means that self-interest more than anything. Power centricism means that humans always want power more than anything. The realist school of thought received a change by Walt. Neorealism, which also divided into offensive realism and defensive realism. Also, there are many sub-theories within realism as well, such as balance of power. The state try to maintain the status quo in case some state might gain too much power. Balance of threat when state become powerful and threatening, the other state will respond. Soft balancing, the decision to avoid military conflict and adopt diplomatic and economic approach to resist the hegemon. Hegemonic stability, weak state decide to cooperate in response to the rise of hegemon. Power transition, the hegemon tend to keep its status, while others will likely clash with it when they became strengthened enough. Bandwagoning, the weak state choose to side with the great powers to ensure their own survival. While realism main focus is power, liberalism focus are not limited to only political institutions, but to social aspects such as human rights, economic, and democracy as well. The example key ideas of liberalism are domestic condition. The internal concern can affect the foreign policy of the state. Globalization, connecting the world through world economic and social integration. Zone of peace, liberals tend to ally themselves together in warfare. Aggression, liberals are most likely distrustful of non-liberal states. Compliance, failure to support liberal allies can lead to intervention. There are also three key interpretations or three images of liberal foreign policy by scholars. Individualists surpass the anarchic system by individual nature within states. Commercial, guiding foreign policy by domestic social forces. Republican, peace through representative government, respect for life of all human beings. and social economic interdependence.
Comparing and contrasting both theories in the case study as the Belt and Road Initiative as a Chinese foreign policy could be seen as ways to do things differently in terms of the goals and purposes. Realism in this case would likely end up with one states having to compete with each other for its own survival. Two is that the main policy of the foreign policy is external impact is from their own decisions, and three, the goal for them is to enhance and survive the state's own power. The aim of the BRI could be roughly explained as a form of economic support for smaller countries from China, but a realist could reject the views and explain that it's a political ploy for China to increase its influence in other countries to counterbalance the US influence. It will it would also make smaller states join the initiative as a form of bandwagoning to the lens of liberalism too, as they figured that one, every state could survive by peaceful means. Two, domestic conditions such as the economy are the main focus and the external factors are still relevant, but not as much. And three, for the states to survive, they should ally themselves. As the nature of the BRI, which requires cooperation within the project, and its purposes, which aims at the construction of its unified market and the development of countries and its projects, as well as the domestic conditions such as increasing the economic growth and spreading Chinese financial influence could affect foreign policy.
Now for the last question we would like to discuss is, which theory is the most effective for explaining the case study? To determine what is the best way to explain the Belt and Road Initiative's motives is quite difficult because the depth of its impact is high. By looking at realism and liberalism point of view, there can be two possibilities for the future of the project. Liberalist view, the cooperation is a success and its structures are maintained throughout its active years, while benefits for all participants and, if possible, the rest of the world are also achieved. In contrast, from realist view, those who oppose the project decide to adopt the protective trade approach, then become the increased trade barriers, which in turn led to the decline of the international trade for all involved countries. For our group, we have decided that the liberalist path is unlikely, while the cooperation between China and the European Union might be possible. The United States are the ones who will likely oppose the initiatives. While the Belt and Road Initiative may not affect the United States economy that much, its true impact lies in the dimension of influence, which in turn put the project to become a target for cautions. In addition, the cost for the US to oppose the initiative is quite low as well, making it more ideal for the US to oppose the initiatives. As for the European Union, the minor fracture is already happened, with Italy and Greece's decision to join the initiative, forcing the European Union to clarify its position toward the policy. All of this indicate that while the Belt and Road Initiative purpose are the development of the infrastructure and economic growth, there will be those who see it as a potential threat to their own gains, and their ally will likely decide to follow them too, making the realist view more relevant. In the end, this is not merely a normal foreign policy, but it is the point of no return for China. For if this project becomes a failure, China's position in the eyes of other states will be negative, And China might also lose its own political powers and never recover as well. So the Belt and Road Initiative can be described as an ambitious move for China, be it for the development of world economy or to become strong enough to leave the grasp of other great powers. And that is the end of our presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.